and start recording here. All right, so let me share screen here if I can. There we go. All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and get started here. If you go to docs.google.com, that is how you can get to your kind of Google Docs homepage. You can see all of the documents that you have made or that have been shared with you. So this is docs.google.com. You can also find these in Google Drive, but in this case, you know, we're mostly just working right within Google Docs. If you know it's a document, then you just come to Google Docs, you'll be able to find it here. All right. So once we're here, as usual, we have a couple templates up here, but in most cases, I almost never use these templates. I always just start with a blank template. So if we create a new Google Doc, just click the blank button up here, and you should be able to get a new document here.
Are we supposed to do that?
Yeah, if you want to start, I'm actually going to share one as well, but just so you know how to create one for yourself,
Okay.
I wanted you to be able to do that. So again, I was just going to docs.google.com and then clicking the blank button, right? And then you'll be able to get a new Google Doc, and then you'll see something that looks like this. You might not see this, it might look just like this. Okay. So far, so good. Anybody having? All right, so that's it, right? That's very simple, just creating a new Google Doc. So the first thing is just formatting text that I wanted to kind of look at. So there's different ways that you can format text, but it's very similar to Word. Basically, if we just type, you know, we'll just type something here. To format the text, just select it. And of course, you can change the fonts. There are, all of these are web fonts. I have the recent fonts that I've used, just like in Word, but you can scroll down and you can search for any of the fonts here. If you need more fonts, actually, you don't see the one that you like. Most of the standard ones like Calibri, Cambria, Arial, and Times New Roman are all here. I think the default with Google Docs is Arial. But you can obviously change whatever, you know, whichever one you want. But if you need a different font or you're like, I don't like these fonts, you can always click on the more fonts button up here at the top. And then that will allow you to search even more of Google's fonts. There's tons and tons of different fonts and things that you can find in here. Yeah, Renee.
I don't know how to get, this is such a stupid question, but I don't know how to get to my my web bar thing to get to Google
Oh, does it look
Docs.
like this?
I can't get
See.
there. I don't know how to get out of view to do
Oh,
that.
okay, sure. At the top of your screen, if you look at view options and then say exit full screen.
There you go. Thank you. Okay.
You're very welcome. Yeah, that's always the challenge of working with Zoom and another thing at the same time. Yeah. Yeah. So if you, so you're just going to go to doc.google.com, open a blank template and then, or a blank document, and then you'll be caught up. Okay. So like I said, if you want to choose different fonts, you can either choose more fonts or just select one from the list. Really doesn't matter much. We'll do Comic Sans, even though people say that we shouldn't use Comic Sans. And then to change the font size, you can either click in here and type a number. You can use the drop down, or you can press the plus or minus buttons up here at the top. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger for you guys. There, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we can make this bigger just by selecting our text and clicking the plus button here. That'll just make it incrementally larger until the point that you want. You can always click in your thing that's 18 point. So you can type in the number or just use the plus or minus button. Of course, you have the bold, italics, underline, and the text color. So you can change the color of the text here. And you can also add your own color if you wanted to by clicking the plus button under custom and then finding, you know, whichever particular color that you like. Okay. And the last one here is just the highlighter, and you can use the highlighter to kind of have a background on your text. So if I wanted to do a yellow, I'm not sure that's very easy to read, but yellow and red is fine. All right, so far so good. That one is hopefully a little bit more straightforward if you've ever used Word or anything else. Okay. So the next thing that I want to take a look at is applying styles, and styles are actually really useful. You may or may not be using this even in Word, but up here at the top next to your font, it says normal text. And you also will see title, subtitle, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and maybe more depending on what you've already done in the past. Your headings might look a little different than mine, or your styles might look a little different than mine because I've already customized these to be my default. But basically what we can do is we can set our style. If there's always a specific title style that we like, or always a specific heading style that you like, you can change that so that it always is that way. So you can automatically make whatever font or whatever text you're typing a specific style or formatting. So let's type down here. I'm just going to type another thing here. So this is heading 1, right? So this is right now a custom font that I made. But if I wanted to change this to normal text, you can actually just click right in your text and then click on normal. And then you click normal again, and that'll set it back to whatever the default text is for your document, right? So let's say instead of Arial, I wanted to make my normal text Times New Roman. So I always want Times New Roman. I don't ever want to use Arial, right? So what I can do is change my font here. I'll select my font, click on the font drop down up here, and then select Times New Roman. That'll change my font here, but then what I can do is go up here to normal text again, hover over normal text, and then instead of apply, I want to do update. So what this is going to do is it's going to take whatever formatting I've selected and it'll change my normal text. Instead of being Arial, it'll change it to being whatever the font is over there. So if I click that and I do update normal text to match, now if I type something else, let's say I want to change this back to normal. If I click on normal text, you can see that it already changed that back to Times New Roman. And if I just click right there, now it's always going to be Times New Roman. So whenever I have another type of, if I open another document and it starts with Arial, I can always just select it and just click normal text, and that'll always make it the font that I want. Does that make sense? All right, so the other thing that is really useful with headings is that we can use them to create a document outline, which can be used as kind of a table of content, and it can help us jump around to different sections in our document. So let's, for example, let's make this is heading 1. I'm going to change this to actually be heading 1 down here. So again, just click in your text, click the styles drop-down menu, and then click on heading 1. And now it changed, automatically updated to the formatting that I had on heading 1. And again, yours might be a little different. This is a custom one that I added a while ago. But it'll look different than your normal text. And then now if I go over here in my document outline, which is these little this little thing that looks like a kind of a document with bullets. If you click on that, you'll see now you have your heading over here. So if I add other headings, so if I want to say this is heading 2, this is heading 1 again, then what I can do is I can automatically just click over here, heading 2, and then I can say this is heading 1. And if I come over here to my document outline, you can see that it's building a kind of table of contents for me as I do things. And if I put this down, for example, let me move this to the next page here. If I move that to the next page and I click, it's going to jump right to the heading that I have over here. So it's really useful if you're writing something that's lots of different pages long. This also works in Word, and actually Word is even a little better than this because you can actually pick up the sections and move them around in Word. And here you're a little more limited. You can just jump right to those things, but you definitely can use these. Yeah.
I was just going to say, Mike, so for those of us who might use a Google Doc with our class, and if I wanted group 1 to work on a certain part of the document and group 2 to work on a different part of the document, I could create headings for each group, and then they could find it easily by clicking in that sort of outline mode then.
Yeah, so you just have to let them know that there is that thing over there, because normally what it's going to look like is this. it'll just look like that
Mhm.
icon over there. So they have to click on that. But once they click on that, then they can just click group 1, or if I'm down here, and let me change this to group 2, then yeah, it would just jump right. Sorry, come back over here, document outlines, because I'm zoomed in too far. Yeah, it'll just jump right into group 1 or group 2, depending on what I click on. Yeah, absolutely. Where's my here? Perfect. Yeah, the hamburger menu. Yeah, let's do one more time. So how to set a default font. So your default font up here is, that's just whatever your normal text is. So if I click on this, let's say I want to change this to Calibri, for example. So I'll type something out, change the font, and then go into my styles, and then go to normal text, and then update normal text to match. And then this is going to change my normal text to whatever text I have selected. So now if I start typing down here, if I go over here, so this is now the normal text, right? So this will always be whatever the normal text is. Okay. And then if you want to keep this, you want to say, okay, it's not just for this document, it's every document in the future. I always want this. Then you can go down to options at the bottom of the styles menu and then say save as my default styles. And then that's why this has always been saved for me into my title and my heading 1 and heading 2, because I said option save as my default styles. And that way your normal text will always be whatever, Calibri or Times New Roman or whatever you want. Okay. All right, that looks good. So that was applying styles. Let's go ahead and do some images. So I want to give you a little bit of the experience of working on a document together. I think we're 14 of us, so there's not that many of us. So I think this will work out just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually share the document. I'm skipping ahead a little bit. So let me do that again though. So I had to name my document first. So if your document is unnamed right now, click up here at the top. It'll say like unnamed document or something like that. And then you just click in there and just type in your document. I'm just going to call this a test doc. And once you name it, you can then share it. So now that it's named, I can click on the share button up here, and you can see again, we've done this a couple times with Jamboard and Slide, but it's exactly the same process. So right now it says private only to me. So if I click on the share button up here, then now I can click on get a shareable link. If I'm just sharing, for example, like Renee said, if it's just a friend sharing with one other person, then adding someone just in their email would be fine. Like if I just add Hannah to this document, that's totally fine. But if I'm sharing with my class or I'm sharing with a lot of people, then I probably want to get a link instead of just sharing one by one. So if I click get link, then what I can do now is I have my link, but I have to change this because right now it's still restricted. So only people that I add up here will be able to access it. So I'll need to click on restricted. And then, as I said last week, the same thing applies here. So you can do anyone within Howard Community College, and that's normally fine, but that means that your students are going to have to sign in correctly with their HCC email, which again is a good thing to teach them how to, like, what the difference between using their personal and their HCC one. But if you just want to avoid, lots of emails or lots of questions, just change it to anyone with the link. And that way they don't even need to sign in. If you want version history, you do need to use the Howard Community College, or they need to be signed in, because you'll be able to see if they're signed in with any account, but it might be their personal account. So if you do want to use version history to be able to see like who did what, then you probably do want to leave it at Howard Community College. So for this case, I'm going to set this to Howard Community College and we'll see what that looks like. And what I'm going to do, instead of viewer, that means you'll only be able to view it. I'm going to make you an editor. Now, Renee, I think probably when your friend shared this with you for her document that she wanted you to make comments on, she probably made you a commenter and not an editor. Because if you were an editor, then you could say, I don't like this page. Let's get rid of this whole page. And then that would change her whole book. So probably what she did was just make you a commenter, and that way she could either approve or deny the changes that you made, and it wouldn't necessarily take away anything that she did.
Oh, good. Okay.
Mhm. So that can be useful if you're making like a worksheet or something where you want students to type in something but not change the structure of the document itself. But in this case, I'll just make you all editors because you can edit the full document. Okay. So anyone at Howard Community College now can edit my document. So I'll go ahead and click copy. And I'll click done here, and I'm going to paste this in the chat here in Zoom. So you can jump into my document when it comes through there. You can jump in there, and I'm going to cross off sharing actually because we're skipping ahead a little bit, but that's all right. For the rest of this, I think we can go ahead and just use this document so we can see kind of what that looks like when multiple people are editing the document. Google Docs is a little bit more messy than Google Slides because we're all kind of typing in the same place. So if you're typing somewhere and then I'm typing in the same place, then like Heidi's typing down here. If I start typing right after Heidi, then it's going to go kind of in the same place. So it's a little messy. You have to kind of, be careful with how you're doing that. Oh, someone's using fancy fonts over here. But that's where, again, some of the document outline stuff could help. So you could say, okay, if you're in group 1, go to group 1. If you're in group 2, go to group 2. And then that way it will just jump down to whatever the place is. Okay. So I'll just give you one more second to jump into this document if you're not already there. All right. All right, perfect. I like this is a fancy font. What font is this? Great vibes. Nice. Nice. I like that. All right. So let's insert some images. So now we're going to get a little crazy here, but that's all right. So wherever you are in your document now, if you just click in any space where you are, just like slides, everything is under the insert menu. So you're just going to click insert and then image. And it's exactly the same thing that we did last week with slides. So insert image, search the web, or you could obviously upload from your computer or drive or wherever else. But in most cases, just search the web, it's fine. And I would like you to search for a place that you would like to be going on vacation when COVID stops. I stole this idea from Jamal because she talked about Barbados earlier. So let's search for a place. So let me think, where do I want to go on vacation? I'd like to go to Italy. I think Amy would also like to go to Italy. Now, this is not nice. I'm going to put a specific place then. That's the wrong then. This is a nice place. I'll go to the Colosseum. And then, so
Renee, do you
click
want to
your
go to Italy
image.
with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. See.
So then we'll go ahead and click insert, and then wherever your cursor is, it's going to drop your image in there, and it should fill up the entire page. It's a nice picture. So we got some nice beach. Barbados is there. A lot of people with some really nice water. Where is this place? It's pretty clear water there. Bahamas maybe. Is this Ireland? Oh, somebody put an X on theirs. That's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. I guess, this is suggesting. That's why I got that X. That was interesting. Okay. So, oh, Germany. That's a nice place. So we got lots of cool places here. All right, perfect. So that's basically it for adding images. You can edit your images a little bit by like resizing them. Again, the exact same way that we did last time with slides. You're just gonna click on it and then pick up the corner and then drag in and move it around. I think I traumatized some people last week because I said that my pet peeve was to never to use the up and down. But good. This is an appropriate traumatization and a positive trauma. Did not do that. But anyway, if you use the arrows, you can do that, or you can rotate it around by clicking on the little plus button. Oops, somebody added something right above me. If you just rotate it by dragging that circle around, you can rotate your image as well, if you want to. Okay, looks good. Perfect. So so that was good. So that's inserting images. Any questions with images so far? This is very similar to what we did last week with slides.
Hi, Mike. What about the alt text? Adding alt text.
Alt text. Oh, good point. That's a good one on. So alt text, if you click on your image and then you click on image options, then you should have, I think it's under, if you click all image options, it's over there in the format options, I think, on the toolbar. So let's see where that is. I know it's here somewhere. You asked a good question, but I'm not seeing that. So let me come back out of this because I need to see the full screen now. Control Alt Y. Hey, but that's not nice. That's just it should be here under image options. You should have a way to put that. I can't remember what
I was able to do it just by what you did, right clicking on the one for Yosemite, and I saw text.
Yeah, I just right clicked it and it was in the drop down.
Yeah, it's weird that there's no there's nothing in the menu, but yeah, anyway, there you go. Yes, if you right click, thank you. If you right click and then just click alt text right there, you'll have it. That's interesting. It used to be over there, I think, but maybe they moved it. It's Google.
What is alt text?
Yeah, so alt text is if someone is using a screen reader, so if they are blind or low vision, then alt text will be picked up by a screen reader so that instead of, if there's no alt text, it'll just say image. And then they have to guess, okay, well, what image is that? They won't know. But if you put alt text and you say Colosseum, I spelled that wrong, in Rome, this one, in Rome, then that way when they're listening to the document, instead of, because they can't read it, they'll hear, okay, image Colosseum in Rome, instead of just image, because otherwise they'll never know what it is. You could also just like type under it and put like a little caption there, like image. I did not learn how to spell. Oh, I did learn how to spell this. Colosseum in Rome. So you could also do something like that and then put like a source as well if you want to. If you wanted to, that would give a little bit more clear, even for people who can see, that would show them, okay, what is this image? That's also not a bad practice, but yeah, if the best practice is to add alt text to your images when you put them into a document. So that's a good point on. If you put alt text on your image that you entered in this document for your vacation, then you'll tell us where your place is. Okay. Yeah, thank you, An. That was a really good question. It's back over here. There we go. Perfect. So good. So that was that. Let's go ahead and let's add a link before we do tables and formatting. So you can add links to either text or images here. So what I guess I'd like you to do is let's add a link to the image and then we can go and add a link to the text. So let's say I am showing a picture of the Colosseum and then I want to link to more information about the Colosseum so that when the student clicks on the image, they'll be able to go right to that page or right to that website. So to do that, what I can do is just right click again and click on link. And then that is going to allow you to insert a link into your image. So you can actually just search right here. So if I just search Colosseum, let's see. Yeah, so I actually have the Wikipedia page here. So you can actually search right within your link searching, or if you have the website, you can obviously just pick up the URL and type it in here. So if we click on Colosseum, then now when I click on Colosseum, I'll see that there is a link here that I'll be able to click on and just go right to Wikipedia. Okay. And if you wanted to do that with text, it's basically the same thing. You just select the text that you have and select the text that you have and right click and then link again. And then it's exactly the same thing, right? So you can do Coliseum. I'm really learning how to spell Coliseum today. Coliseum and that looks fine. Again, the Wikipedia, the same Wikipedia article, and just click it. Or you could do, www.google.com. You could put it that way as well, either way. And click apply. And then now our text has a link. So a lot of times what happens is people will do links like this. They'll do www.google.com. And since we were talking about alt text, it's important to talk about descriptive links as well for people who are, again, low vision or blind. This is really bad for the screen reader because it's going to read as https://www.google.com, which, they're probably used to for better or for worse, but doesn't mean we can't fix that. So instead of doing just a link, it's better to type in a word. So let's say visit Google's website, for example, and then add the link to the actual text description of the link instead of putting the link just in the document itself. Does that make sense? So instead of saying www.google.com, what I want to do is I'm going to copy this link here and I'll right click on the link, click link, and then paste it in there. And now that'll take me to the Google website when they click on my descriptive link. So instead of saying www.google.com, it just says visit Google's website. Because when they hear it from the screen reader, it's going to say link, visit Google's website, which is much better than link, https:// and so on and so forth, right? Okay. Any questions with links or images or anything so far? No? All right, there's one other thing that I want to show you with links. Is that you can actually link to certain parts in your document. So as Amy was saying earlier, I'm going to move everything down a little bit. When you have students working on a group project in the same document, what you could do is just say group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. And because we have the headings of our group 1 and our group 2, we can actually link directly to our headings over here. Oh, people are rotating their images. So if we want to link directly to a place in the document, what we can do is select the text, click link, and then we want to do in this document. So we can actually link to a place within the document, and that's based on the heading. So you do have to use the heading, otherwise you won't be able to link to it. But you can click on group 1, and then it'll actually, when they click on that, it'll jump right down to group 1. So that might be an easier way instead of telling them about the document outline over here. If you want to just say, click on group 1 and it'll go to group 1, or click on group 2 and it'll go to group 2. Right. So again, that was just select your text, right click, link, and then just select in this document group 2. Right. And then it'll add the link, and then you can just click right there. Any questions so far? I'm going to cross this one off the list. Okay. All right.
I actually have something.
So-
I just, sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt you.
Sure.
I just noted, I feel like if I click on the person's profile circle above, it takes me to where they were working.
Oh yeah, yes. If you click, for example, if I click on Amelia, then it'll take me to that place in the document where she is. Yeah. You can spy on your collaborators. Yeah, that actually works in Sheets as well. It'll take you, or sorry, Slides as well. It'll take you right to the slide where they're working on. Yeah. So if you're looking now, okay, I want to see what Jamal's doing. Then you can click on her, or I want to see what Irene is doing. Then you can just click on the person's icon up here. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the next one here was doing tables in here, and this is pretty much exactly the same as Word. Basically, you're just going to go to Insert and then add in a table. And Google Docs is kind of nice. It lets you, if you have a small table up to like 20 by 20, you can actually just select right away just by hovering over the different places and say, okay, I want a table that's 10 by 5, for example. Then I'll just select the number of rows and columns that I want and then click, and then it will automatically drop in that many rows and columns. And you can always, of course, add more rows and columns by clicking in or by selecting the table and then right click in and then say, insert left or insert right. So if I just wanted to do one more row, I would just click in the place where I want it to go, either to the left or to the right click, and then do insert one row to or one column to the right. And I'll just add another column over there, and it's going to automatically resize my table. If I wanted to do like 5 more, I would just select 5 columns, right click, and then do insert 5 columns to the right. And then that will, however many is selected, it's however many it will put in. Okay. So that's tables. You can do a lot with tables just by, actually, if you click on your table, right click and do table properties. This gives you a lot of formatting options. So if you want a different table border, like if you want no border, sometimes that's useful. If you're going to turn the border off, you can do 0 points. And that will make it a clear table. You could also change the background color of the cells if you want to make it a little darker, change the alignment, and so on and so forth. So you have some options here under table properties. I'll just right click and then table properties. So now you can see my table has no borders. Well, it has borders, they're just not visible, right? If I select in there, you can still see. Okay. And I guess the only other thing is maybe shading in particular, shading specific rows of your table. If you highlight your table and then go to, let's see, where is that? Get on this menu here. Yeah, go to the -3 dots, but if you have the fill color, you can just fill in with whatever color you want, and that will change your table, your background color of your table. If you want a header row or something like that. And of course, you can format it just like normal text by clicking, bolding and say, this is cell 1 and cell 3, whatever. Okay. Any questions with tables? It's pretty much the same as other applications that you've been working on, and just to let you know that it's there and it's where to find it. Alrighty then, let's go ahead into some of the other things here. So there is actually something that's called the Explore tool, and this, honestly, I don't use it that much, but it might be useful for your students. The nice thing about the Explore tool is, let's say I wanted to highlight the word Barbados and I want to search for more information about Barbados. What I can do is I can select the text that I want and then come down here to this little thing that looks like a bubble and a star in there, and it says Explore when you hover over it. If you click on that, it should open up a menu over here, and you can then either type in this case, it's saying, okay, if I want to search for the Colosseum, if I want to search for, in this case, I guess it didn't like that, it didn't do what I wanted it to do. But if I just type in Barbados here, I can search for, and I can like find the definition of Barbados. I can find some quick information without having to leave the document. So I think Amelia said that her, the Info 100 book is in Google Docs. So if a student had a question about one of the words, they could obviously highlight it and go to Google and search for it, but they could also just go right into the Explore tool and just search right away for Barbados. They could look for images. And then if they had something in their drive about it already, they could find it. But in most cases, you just want to say, okay, well, what is that? I'm not really sure what that is. So let's see. Oh, okay, this is Barbados, right? So again, I don't use it that often, but it's nice that it's kind of built into Google Docs that you can just search for stuff right within your document. Okay.
It may not work because I had put a link on Visit Barbados to Barbados tourism. That might be
here. Barbados. It should have done it still though. Let me close this and try again. I think if I you know what it is, if you select it and then right click on it and then do Explore, where's Explore? Hey, it's not here.
There it
Yeah,
is.
here. Explore or even define. That's interesting. I didn't actually see that before. Let's see if he'll define it for me. Cannot define Barbados. Okay. About Explore Barbados. Yeah. So you can right click on it. If you highlight it, right click and then do explore. And again, maybe this is more useful for your students. But certainly it's again nice that it's just right in there. You don't have to go you don't have to go out of Google Docs or go somewhere else to find it. Okay. All right. So the other thing that we have now, this is a newer thing, is citations, and I'm not sure how you all feel about making students write their own citations or not, but let's say, for example, I wanted to add a citation for this website. So I believe what I can do is if I take this website here, and I think this might work, we just go to insert, it's under tools, I guess, insert, or sorry, tools and then citations. Then what we can do, we don't have any citations, but if we wanted to add a citation for our document, we put it in MLA and I'll add a citation source. You can actually just go right in Google Docs and it'll create your citation for you. So instead of using things like Citation Machine or other places, you can actually just build your citations right within the Google Docs. So this is Visit Barbados. I guess this is the same. Visit the same. And I would probably have to open this to be able to see the date and everything, but let's just say that it's published 2021. And this was 120. And we'll go ahead and add the citation source. And now we have our citation over here. And if I believe we can actually just click cite and it'll drop in the citation over here as well. So again, I don't know how you feel about that. You might like it, you might not like it, but it is something that they did add recently. And then you can see down here at the bottom, I have insert bibliography. So at the end, if I wanted to insert my works cited page, I could click insert bibliography, and then it did a interesting text for me, or font for me, but it added right away my bibliography here.
I would like to write another dissertation. This would be so much easier than what I did.
Yeah, it's certainly nice, and especially if you're using different chapters and stuff, you can just jump over to your chapter as well.
Unbelievable.
You have lots of headings and things. Yeah. So your citations is all right here. This is a pretty new one. I think this is probably last month they added this, so it is very new that they did this. Very cool. Any questions about citations? All right, so we're moving along here. So all the way at the top, I'm going to add in a table of contents. And the table of contents is, again, built from your style. So that's, again, why styles are so important, because it allows you to link. It allows you to keep a document outline. It also allows you to jump to points in your document. And it also makes your document look a lot more organized and clean. So styles, I'm a big fan of styles here. So to insert a table of contents, it's exactly what you think. You would just go to insert and then go to table of contents. And then you can either click the with page numbers or with links. Most of the time I prefer the page numbers, but I think the links look a little weird, but anyway, you can click on with page numbers or links, and then you would see, okay, my stuff's right there. And then if you add more, let's say add another heading up here into group 4, and I want to refresh, all I do is just click on my table of contents and click the refresh button, and it'll update my table of contents.
Oh God.
And it'll just keep updating. Yeah. So really, really simple. Again, all of these things happen in Word as well. I just think some stuff is a little simpler here. It's easier to find some of the things. You don't have to look through lots of different ribbons and things. Okay, so that's table of contents. Let's get into some fun stuff now. So version history is our next one. So to see the version history, and I think you can all look at the version history since you're editors of a document. If you are just a viewer of a document, I don't think you can see the version history. But if you are an editor of the document, if you go to File, and then go to version history and then see version history. This is where you'll be able to see what other people done. So that's file, version history, see version history. So we can see now, if we click here, should open up and show me everything that you guys are doing. So we can see that this is the current version and we have lots of people on here and you all have signed in with your HCC email account. So I can see all of your names. So again, this is a good practice for working with students. This is taking a long time to load though. While this is loading, you can also see if you click the drop-down menu, so you can see this is again the current version, but if I click the drop-down menu, you can see expand detailed versions, and it'll show me all of the different changes that have been made into my my document as you guys were adding things and editing stuff. So I can see I have been adding a lot. Here's Jenny was adding some stuff. Jamal added something, and you can see it's happening like, you know, even a couple times a minute, because it's every time something changes, it updates a version or it saves a version of your document. So if I want to go back to a different version, I just click on that version. And then I can see, okay, what happened in this version? We can see that this was the current version. Oh, it doesn't show me what happened. I guess we were just adding things. But if I wanted to, I can click restore this version and it'll take me back to this particular version. So if I click restore, it says, are you sure you want to restore it? And I say, yes, I do want to restore it. And then now it'll jump back. Instead of what my document was before, it'll take me back to how it was, right? So you say, okay, great, everything looks good here. This is the document that I wanted, but let's say, oh, but that wasn't the version that I wanted. If you go back to your version history, then you can actually restore the other version that you had. So if I click up here and then go back to my other version, I'll just click here again. And then this was the latest one that we did prior to me restoring this. I can just click restore this version and I'll be back to the other one. So you don't really lose anything here. Google Docs will save your versions for up to 30 days or 100 different versions, 100 revisions, if you don't name them. So if you actually want to name your version, oh, good. If you want to name your version, that's kind of like saving a copy of your document without creating a new copy of your document. So let's say I wanted to name this version, and I'll just call this like, this is the our most updated, for example. Or you could put, you could put the date, or you could put whatever changes that were made. But now if I go to version history again, one more time, what this does is now I can see that is now a named version, and I can always come back to this, and Google won't delete this version no matter how many other versions I have. So it's going to keep saving things up to 100 times, but after that, it's going to start overwriting your versions. But if you name it, it's going to hold that forever. So if you say, hey, I made really good progress here, let me just name this version so I never lose this, and I can always come back to it if I want to. And the other nice thing is that even if you don't restore the version, you can actually just copy right within here. Like, let's say I wrote a paragraph and I deleted it, but I wanted to add that. I changed my mind later and want to add it. I don't have to restore it and then re-restore it. I can just actually go into my version history, copy the text, and then go back out of it without restoring anything at all. And then I can just paste it right into my current version. So that way I don't need to, restore and unrestore and do things. So you can actually copy things within the version history as well. Okay. All right. So any questions with version history? Version history is a really useful thing. And again, it also shows you what you can, what people have contributed to your document and what they were doing.
Out of curiosity, what happened to backup? If I do a backup, then that backup does not have the version history, right?
Do you mean make a copy of it?
Yeah, if I make a copy of it, basically that's like a starting fresh copy.
Good question. I think you could certainly try that. I think that It might keep it because when it copies it, it makes an exact copy of your document. Let's see, let's find out. I'm not sure if you make a backup copy of your document, if it will keep your version history. It's a good question. Anna is full of good questions today. Let's see if this will load. I guess there's lots of images there. Right. Version history is still loading here. Almost there. Yep, that's what I want. There we go. Let's find out. So you are right. It makes the backup doesn't keep your version history there. Yep. So if you want to keep your version history, then you wouldn't make a backup. You would just name your version, and then you would have all of that, and you would be able to back it up if you want.
That would make sense. Thanks.
Okay, you're very welcome. All right. So the next thing is making comments and suggestions. So this is a really, really useful one. So let's talk about commenting, and then we'll do suggestions. So I'm just going to close this stuff out here. Lots of windows over here. So to make a comment on text, basically you just need to select your text. And then you can do this a couple places. You can, most of the time, I just come over here to the side and click the add comment button. There's also a comment button up here, and you can also right click and click comment. But in most cases, what I do is just click the comment button over here. But there's lots of places for you to do this. So if I click add comment here, then I can just type in my comment. That's a great idea, right? And the same thing that we did last week with slides, make sure that you hit actually comment, otherwise it won't post it. It'll just leave it in the kind of the ether there. So you actually need to comment, and then it'll show up there, and it'll also highlight the text that's been commented on as well. And then from there, you can click on your comment. Let me see if I can zoom over a little bit. You can click on your comment, you can reply to your comment. And again, you can reply to specific people. Like if I say, I want Renee. There, Renee, can't find you. Maybe it's on here. Yeah, on here. So if I wanted to comment on, I want to say you are in group 3. And I can click reply. Then she'll actually get an email, to her email, and it will say, hey, you've been mentioned in the document, and she'll get a quick blurb of what I said. So when you're finished commenting, or you've remediated your comment, what you can do actually is click the mark as resolved, and that will basically put your comment into the comment history. So once you do that, the comment goes away, but it's not gone forever. So if you want to see your comment history again, you just click up here next to the share button. There's this little speech bubble, and now we'll open up your comment history, and then you'll be able to see, okay, what happened, where your comment was. And then you can always reopen it if you want to. And that'll put it back over here on the side. Okay, and then you can even see, okay, it was marked as resolved, and then it was reopened. And then suggestions is similar. Suggestions is commenting, but commenting within the document itself. So if we wanted to create a suggestion instead of editing. So if we click up here at the top right, there's a little pencil that says editing. And if you click that, you can actually click suggesting. So now if I type, what if we, yes. What if we made another group? Then what I can do is actually just type right in my document, and then it changes the color, but then it also adds it over here. So then I can either accept the suggestion or reject the suggestion. So if I accept the suggestion, it'll turn into normal text, and then it'll go into my document. But if I say, no, I don't want that, I don't want to accept this suggestion, I can click reject the suggestion, and then that will delete it from there. So suggestions are really useful because they allow people to comment or to write in your document without, they kind of have to be approved before they stick there. We'll check the chat. Yes, and is there a way, okay, sorry. Okay, a couple questions here. So print PDF or otherwise share the document so that you can see the comments. This is a good point. I don't think your comments are going to get saved as a PDF or printing. I think that's probably not going to happen. You could take a screenshot of your document with the comments in it, but that's probably defeating the purpose of sharing at that point. Yeah, I would say that there's not a great way to save the comments in a way that is not just having them added to the Google Doc. Yeah, I don't think you'll be able to save those. You could definitely use the suggestions to do that, but yeah, again, I don't think your comments are going to come through if you print it. And to delete a document, Amelia, if you go to File, then there's Move to Trash, and that would delete your entire document. Yeah. Okay, that looks good. Let's see. I don't think your comments are going to come through, but let's see if it will. I think it's just going to give me the viewable version, not the comments.
Okay, Mike, what you explained triggered my curiosity. So if you put the file to trash, right, and then you recover, does that recover the history too?
Yeah, it should, because that's the original document. It should definitely recover the history.
Okay.
I haven't tried that, but it should. Yeah. So yeah, it looks like even saving this as a PDF does not give you your comments. You can always download it, but again, you could download it as a Word document, and that should bring over the comments. I'm not 100% sure if it will though. Let's try. So again, that was just file, download, and open as a Word document. And then that will just take a second to put your document to a Word document. Now it's downloading. And if I open this, let's see if we get the comments or not. Yeah, so the comments did come through. So that might, if they're more familiar, Christy, with Word, then maybe that's a better way to do it. If you don't necessarily want them to edit the document itself, but just to see what the feedback was or what the comments were, that might be a better way. Yeah, so downloading it as a Word document. Okay, looks good. Yeah, you're very welcome. Okay, so that was commenting and suggesting. Any questions with that? That's, again, this is basically the track changes of Google Docs. It's just called suggesting instead of track changes. The other cool thing that we can do is actually just translate the whole document. Again, maybe this is not as useful for us, but it is an option there. If you go to Tools, you can actually click Translate Document. And if you click Translate Document, it's going to run the whole document through Google Doc, and we can put it into any of these languages, which there are many languages. Any requests for a language to translate to? We could do it into Latin. Sure, let's try Latin. I did Zulu the other day, and that's just, I have no idea how to read that at all. So it's just, and what this does is basically makes a copy of your document, and it just runs it through Google Translate, which notably is not perfect, but you can see that this did, more or less, and it gave me Roman numerals instead of the numbers, which is a little funny. But anyway, that's translating your document. So I won't spend too much more time on that, but basically that's an easy way to do that. And
students don't understand Roman numerals anymore. The French museums just had to change everything to Arabic because people were unable to read.
Well, that's changing times, I guess. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's not that hard. At least 1 through 10 should be able to understand. Anyway, okay, so the last thing here is voice typing, and this may actually be pretty useful for some of your students. You can do this on the phone, but this has to be done in Google Chrome because it uses the Chrome like tools to be able to do this. So if you wanted to use voice typing, what you do is go to Tools and then click on voice typing. There's also Control-Shift-S for whatever reason. I don't know why S is the right word for that, but if you click on voice typing over here, then you can actually just click here. And then now as I'm speaking, it should be trying to write the things that I'm saying. All right, and then so that is maybe an easier way for some students to do it, and I'm still suggesting, so that's why I did that. That was interesting. While I was suggesting, it was making a lot of suggestions, but yeah, so that's, you can use voice typing. You can give that to some of your students who either aren't as computer savvy or tech savvy, or just type slower than other people, or have other kind of needs. That might be a good way to allow them to use Google Docs for this. All right. Any other questions? We're actually exactly at time. I planned that perfectly. I know. Look at that. Other questions about Docs or any other use cases that you are just curious about? Or no. If not, I'll stick around for just a second. But if not, thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next time.
There's a chat button at the very end, right? I noticed that that doesn't come up until there's at least 2 people in the document, correct?
Yes, correct. Because that you can't chat with yourself, I guess.
Right. But I
Yeah.
wanted to chat and leave a message within the doc, so I wanted to use it, but
Okay.
it doesn't work
So that,
like that.
It doesn't work, and it won't retain your messages after the it won't retain your messages after you leave, or after, you know, while the other people are not there, it doesn't keep your messages there, so it's not persistent. So the better thing to do would be to make a comment. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Make a comment, or to just type in the document itself. And the comments are nice because you can actually mention people instead of, you know, instead of having to
Yes.
put the
Then
chat
they'll
in
get
there.
the
You can actually
email.
say, you should answer, you know, should do this thing. Yeah, exactly.
And then also just about these workshops, I noticed that I'm not getting PD